Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing great. And let's start with the first story, titled From a Cheating Wife Some Questions for the Betrayed Partners. Please bear with me because my story is a bit long and unconventional. I am a wayward wife, and my affairs happened 7 years ago. I don't want to ramble about my story because if I start, I will go on for pages and pages, so here's a TLDR as short as I could make it. Me and my husband have remained in a dead marriage, married only in name. He has insisted on no romantic relationship. After my affairs that happened more than 7 years ago, he found out this time of the year in 2015. Owing to some very complicated and exceptional circumstances, it is impossible for us to divorce right now and maybe for the next couple of years. I'm pretty sure he would have left if given the choice. He still treats me like a good friend, which is far more than I deserve. To be fair, he made it clear at the very onset that our relationship is dead to him, and he will no longer treat me as his wife or harbor any feelings for me. I still waited patiently for 7 years, honoring his every wish and boundary without question, attending therapy, reading all the infidelity books I could find, and putting their ideas to practice. I did all I could do while still honoring his boundaries of no touching, no sex, and no romantic relationship. I knew I was not entitled to anything, but I had hoped being consistent with my actions, trying to understand how in hell I could do something like that to him, or even a stroke of dumb luck will change something. All of this with the hope that one day he'll come back to me, that one day he'll let me love him again. But it seems he's really content with just being friends or roommates. He convinced me to open our relationship shortly after my betrayal, and I know he engages in casual meetups, but never anything serious. I ask him if he has a girlfriend, and he says no. I have no interest in dating anybody. I myself have not slept with or dated anybody. I was never interested in his offer of an open marriage in the first place, but I don't think he cares. He scoffs at romantic movies and talks about how marriage as an institution makes no sense to him, and people would be much happier if they did not have to live under the societal pressure of being married. When I ask him if he's happy, he says he's never been more content with his life, and he plans to remain a bachelor for the rest of his life. In the last couple of years, I have learned to resign myself to the fact that we'll never be anything more again. I was a serial cheater. I had affairs with 3 different people at 3 different times in our marriage, 2 of them men and 1 woman. I don't blame him for not wanting to reconcile with me. He used to be such a hopeless romantic, and I was too. But I made awful decisions. I fell into the temptation of cheap thrills. Along the way, I committed such vile and disgusting acts that still make bile rise in my throat after 7 years. It is no wonder he lost faith in love after what I did. I took away his ability to love. Of course he doesn't allow me into his room. Of course he rarely spends the night at home. Of course he doesn't care how much guilt and remorse I showed. What breaks my heart the most is how he was never angry with me. Not even on the day he found out. I kept wishing that he would scream at me, kick me out, or even hurt me. He never got angry. The only wish I have left is to someday be able to grant him the gift of divorce and never show my face to him again. He, on the other hand, seems to be in no particular hurry to divorce and has said on multiple occasions that he likes my company as a friend. He's even told me that I should start dating, and when I'm ready to remarry, I can file for divorce. Seemingly indicating that he won't be the one to file first even if he had the option. I asked him, what if I don't want to get married and I won't file either? And he said, we'll just die married to each other then. That doesn't sound too bad. It makes a lot of things easier for me. This is why, when I read the post today, quick note, OP is referring to a post by another betrayed partner. I mused over these questions for a long time. Is it possible for someone to be content living like this? With no family, no one to love, keeping every relationship casual and simply for sex? Will he always feel this way? Or will he change his mind? It has been 7 years, so it's hard for me to imagine him feeling anything towards me other than indifference. But if I leave, maybe someday he will allow himself to heal the part of him that I broke and love someone else again? Or is that just wishful thinking on my part? All I want is for him to be happy, and until now divorcing him seemed like an obvious choice. But now, I'm not so sure. And let's take a look at the comments. Someone said to OP, your husband has discovered a new way of life that's superior to being monogamous to you. He's just keeping the marriage for financial reasons and is very amiable. OP replied with, he's not keeping the marriage for financial reasons. There are other reasons why we can't divorce. It'll take a lot of explaining and context. But it has nothing to do with finances. And in all truth, I am a liability to him financially. Another user asked OP, did you or he see a therapist? Individual or marriage counseling? What ways have you demonstrated your love? I get the impression from above you still love him, and there are things you have tried. Have you reached the point you stopped trying to woo him? OP replied with, I am in individual counseling, and I'll need it for a few more years at the very least. He went to individual counseling for the first 2 years, but not anymore. I have no way of demonstrating love other than acts of service, like cooking for him, keeping the rooms clean, watching out, and helping him wherever I can. I do love him, but I have never tried to woo him. It is more important for me to respect his boundaries and not do something he has strictly asked me not to. I don't think he sees acts of service as a love language, though. He keeps telling me that I'm obsessed with keeping the house perfect all the time, and I should take a break. I still continue doing it, though. I don't know if it's because it's turned into a habit or if I'm still holding on to a faint hope. Just get the divorce already. It sounds like she doesn't work, and he's worried about alimony. Honestly, paying alimony sounds much better than living miserably like this. And next, the second story titled, Taking the High Road. My name is Jack, and I'm here to tell my story. I hope that you can find some value in it. I am a former Army officer. I got married young to my high school sweetheart who was also an Army officer. She was a nurse and I was a helicopter pilot. The Army tries very hard to keep couples together, which is part of the reason we got married and married so young. With the spacing of our careers, I always followed my wife to various duty stations. We were first stationed in Hawaii together. I always made friends wherever I went. She was somewhat of an introvert. However, she still made friends with coworkers and my friends' wives. We did our 3-year stint and it was time to move on to new units. Towards the end of our tour in Hawaii, I was working in Southeast Asia and my wife got orders to Colorado. We ended up purchasing a beautiful house unseen. I unfortunately had to go to a 6-month professional development course in Alabama. I left Hawaii 2 weeks before her, moved all of our stuff into our new house. I picked her up from the airport and we had a week together in our new home before I had to leave for Alabama. Fortunately, my course was a gentleman's course. I was able to visit her in Colorado on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and every long weekend. About halfway through my time in Alabama, I got orders to work in the space community in Colorado. I was thrilled. Although I realized this could be the end of a successful aviation career in the Army, I didn't care. I was going to get to live with my wife for another 3 years. One Wednesday, my wife asked me if I was cool with her going out with some coworkers for dinner. I was honestly thrilled. As previously mentioned, she was extremely introverted. I was just happy she was making friends. I didn't care that it was a mixed company. I had chick friends after all. She can certainly have dude friends. One long weekend in February, I was back in Colorado visiting. It was tax season, so I opened up her laptop. The iMessages app was pulled up and everything was deleted. Weird, I thought. Later, I checked her iPad, same thing, everything was deleted. That night, after she fell asleep, I checked her phone, iMessages, Facebook, Instagram, all clean. However, she had a Snapchat from one of her dude coworkers. I knew if I checked it, she would know, but I did it anyway. It said, I love you, I miss you. I could use some more of your pomegranate lip balm. I was crushed. I texted her coworker from her phone for a bit, eventually called him and said, This is her husband, tell me everything you did. If your story is different from hers, I will go to your chain of command. He remained silent. For those of you who don't understand, adultery in the military can be punishable by jail time if it can be proven. I woke up my wife and questioned her. She said they had only kissed twice and it was over between them. I said, if it is truly over, we can work this out if it was only a kiss. We said we were going to try to make it. A few weeks went by and I was back in Alabama. There was a good snowstorm in Colorado. I knew my wife wasn't at work, but she wasn't replying to my text messages. I eventually used Find My Family, and I noticed she was at an apartment complex. I called her and said, Where are you? She said, I am at Target. I replied with, No, you're not. Where are you? She, I'm driving back from Target. No, you're not. Where the hell are you? Her, I am at his house. I asked, Would you like a divorce? She said yes. I was absolutely devastated. The only woman I had ever been with. Her siblings were like my siblings. I loved her. I was sad, angry, and bitter. I had given up my aviation career to be with her. I had an uncle call me after I broke the news to my family. He said, I know how much pain you are in, but you need to take the high road. I wanted to ruin her, crush her career, crush her relationships with our friends and her family, but I didn't. I signed the divorce papers, and 90 days later we were divorced. I showed up in court for the final proceedings. We split all of our assets 50-50. I kept the house since we would have lost money immediately selling it. I saw her there, and it was a friendly goodbye. That was the last I ever saw her. It has taken me several years to get to where I am now. Immediately after the divorce, I gave up alcohol. I knew I didn't want to have an unhealthy coping mechanism. I invested a ton of time into reconnecting with my friends. I will admit, when I was in Hawaii, it was hard to maintain relationships with most of my friends. I picked up journaling. I knew I had to be honest with myself about what I was feeling each and every day. It had bad days and good days. I picked up a few new hobbies, such as hiking, skiing, and trail running. I spent pretty much every single weekend on a mountain, sometimes with friends, sometimes by myself. I had to relearn how to be content being alone, cooking for one, going out by myself. I served my time in the space community and was actually given a command, which was awesome. I met some great people and hope I was able to serve my team. I saw the writing on the wall that the remaining time in the Army would largely be served behind a desk, working PowerPoint slides and whatnot, so I decided to get out. I'm currently 34. I decided to become an airline pilot. Currently, I love working at my dream airline. I am working 7 to 10 days a month. I still spend a ton of my free time outside, golfing, hiking, skiing. I work out 3 to 4 days a week. I've dated several wonderful women. I will admit entering the dating scene was hard, as I had never been with anyone else in my adult life. However, I just approached it with honesty and transparency. Because I took the high road, I had no regrets or shame in any of my actions. No one has ever asked me, "What did you do wrong?" I looked at each date as an opportunity to meet someone new, be respectful, and spread kindness, even if I knew it wouldn't lead to anything else. I know my situation is not as complex, nor as devastating as some of the stories I have read on here. But you can survive this. It will suck and hurt for a while. But there are kind, trustworthy people out there who will accept you, acknowledge what you have been through, and love you for who you are. Take time to become your best self. The easy way isn't always the best way. Create routines. Find or build a support network. Although you might not feel it right now, life can be beautiful. I wish you the best. In the comments, someone asked OP, I assume you've never heard from her since? OP replied with, I actually received an email from her about 3 years after the divorce. She said she was sorry. I said no need to be sorry, I think we are both better off. I gave her a few quick highlights of my life. She replied saying her phone number hasn't changed if I wanted to text her. I said I would rather not speak to her again and that I wish her well. Kudos to you, OP. But she should have faced the consequences of her actions, so she'd think twice before doing that to the next person. I'm glad you're doing good. Wishing you and everyone going through the same situation the best of luck. And that's it for today. Dear viewers, if you like this story, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.